Welcome to the Digitally Dreaming Off the Gridiron podcast. I am your co-host with the most, Cortez Branch, and we have our host on audio for the time being. Say what's up, Ali.
Yo, what's going on, baby? How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I've had a pretty decent weekend with both football and wrestling, and particularly WWE. Let me make that distinction today because they deserve all the props right now. And
Oh my
I
God.
I just think that the direction that we're going in is something that we've been able to call and watch and have a good time.
100%. No, I'm with you on that totally. And obviously, you basically had a great weekend for both wrestling and football. I had a great weekend for wrestling and a absolutely abysmal.
I mean, from where from where you sat on the football side, what's going? I think we lost you on audio. But from where you sat on the football side, I would have to say that there are some
Oh,
things that are going on your team, and
oh,
as I'm watching this and as you're watching this, I think we both just come to a conclusion that people are not on the same page, and that's what's causing their problems.
100%. Obviously, for me, that was kind of one of those things, where I was basically just, sitting back, taking it in that first half. And yeah, let's get into it. All right. So obviously, like, you're the host for today, so you can guide us. But basically, I just wanted to bring this up as a Niners fan. I just really did not like what I saw on Sunday, which I posted on my short yesterday. Anyone who's a fan, who watches the show, you guys know how I feel about, basically, lackluster effort on defense, especially lackluster effort on both sides of the ball, especially second half. And special teams not being able to execute, even without your kicker going out, even without your kicker, you should still be able to execute. So, obviously there's a lot of questionable decisions in that game. I think after Jake Moody went out, Kyle did not want to take any risks or chances of trying to kick field goals. Mitch was with Mitch Wiskowski. But I really thought that, if they had
Yeah.
scored some points in the second half with Mitch Wiskowski, or pick up some kick off the street, then they would have been able to, convert. For example, when it was 3rd and 23, that's definitely field goal territory for any competent field goal kicker, right? And
Yep.
they decided not to do that. Me being a special teamer when I played, I can't stand that at the highest level to watch that type of lack of execution and confidence. Like it's just terrible. So defense obviously got ran over. James Conner looked like fucking LT mixed with Emmett Smith, of the
Yeah,
90s.
he did. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, no, yeah, and I mean, obviously, someone like you who played and obviously knows that position well. Like you, I sit there and I watch this, and I'm all like, how is this transpiring right now? I'm just can't believe that there was such a lack of sense of urgency. There was just a lack of just of scheming, a lack of everything that kind of you'd expect to see from a competent football club. So yeah, I mean, I'm very, very depressed as a Niners fan just to see, how the season's going to play out because what we've seen so far against the Rams and against obviously the Vikings are 5-0, so I mean, they're for real. But against the Rams and against the Cardinals, who are two bottom of the barrel divisional opponents, it's just very disheartening, and do you really think that term Super Bowl hangover is real after you witness this such lack of, of execution? But I will caveat it with this. Obviously, the Seahawks lost yesterday to the Giants, so it really kind of opens up the Niners for this Thursday night matchup to basically really actually have a chance of regaining the lead in the division, which is crazy to think about. Basically an 8-9 team or like a 7-10 team or like a 9-8 team could very well win the NFC West division this year. So maybe the Niners are banking on that. I just really think defensively, Devondre Campbell is not working in the linebacking core. I really think that that the Nick Sorensen, he's drawing up schemes, but the players aren't executing. Maybe it's the players, maybe it is the scheme, maybe it's both. I think Jake Moody trying to do a form tackle on special teams. I mean, Dante Whitner said, Jake Moody, call me. I can teach you how to tackle. And if you call me, number 81, I can teach you how to tackle too on kickoff. So,
Facts.
you definitely got to know, kind of, proper technique and tackling and lane integrity, especially at that level. And, you appreciate seeing that effort, from your kicker, but you really don't want him getting injured, because when you need him
No,
to
I
the most.
mean, that guy Donald Delahaye, who goes by Destroying, he got a pro contract in the UFL this year, and
Yep.
he was playing on the San Antonio Brahmas.
Yeah.
And look what happened to him trying to tackle somebody. He broke his neck. The guy had been out of football for years. I wouldn't have recommended that he tackle a guy that hasn't been out of football for years, especially when you're a place kicker. So
Right.
I would trust a punter to tackle somebody before a place kicker, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I'm not
Absolutely.
talking crap about the kickers. I'm just saying you guys aren't very big usually.
Why you have to caveat that? Oh, I'm not talking crap, bro. They're kickers. They're not supposed to be big. Of course they're not big. Why are they tackling? Jake
Yeah,
Moody, why the fuck are you trying to make tackles, dude? You're
I
a
mean, you're
kicker,
gonna.
man.
I'm gonna be honest about it. I mean, they know that if they make a good tackle, they're gonna be on ESPN. So maybe that's what's driving them. But you guys remember,
I'm I'm a
these,
fucking like little. I mean, in Atlanta Giants, bro. I'm very much undersized. When I played, was I 155? Now I'm 170. Like I just at my highest weight, I was 185. That's still very much undersized. I mean, for football, right? And you're talking about the
yeah,
NFL. Like a kicker usually walks around at 185, maybe 200. Pat McAfee's 230. I mean, like, come on now, dude. Like, if you're not carrying on at least a buck two, if you're not $2, at least like kind of your size, around 220, you have no business making tackles on kick return, on kickoff, on punt return or punt. You really have no business doing that. And so
I'm gonna
yeah.
tell you, even at 220, it still hurts. So
Oh, absolutely.
I can only imagine how much it hurts at 155 or 160.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's exactly the point. Like, if you're going to go out there and you're going to make these tackles, like, bro, you really got to be ready for, kind of what that blowback is going to entail. And, obviously, I appreciate Jake being about that life, but come on, bro. Like, you really got to really put consider your position, consider, how valuable you are to this team. And, really kind of, second guess yourself and check your ego out the door, for lack of a better term, before you try to make those tackles. So yeah, no, it's really unfortunate because now, Niners are they're actually looking to talk about, and let's transition. They're looking to talk about former Bears great, should Robbie Gould to maybe come out of retirement and kick for them, but we'll see. But let's talk
Well,
about your Chicago Bears. So, because that
Robbie
was great.
Gold, Robbie Gold coaches one of the high schools that's down the street from me. So I don't think Robbie Gold's looking to come out of retirement anytime soon. But
He
I
doesn't
think
need
his
to.
I think his team would. I think the team that he coached, he's the head coach at this high school. I'm not going to dox him right now, but
Uh-huh.
he's the head coach at this high school out here, and I think that if he was given the opportunity and a nice sized paycheck, then everyone would
Mhm.
understand to do it because it's the NFL. Um,
Right.
but he doesn't need to per se. And I think the only reason that he would come out of retirement to go back is one in San Francisco. He loved San Francisco when he was there.
Uh-huh.
Um, and two, they are a contender. And as long as you are a Super Bowl and deep playoff contender, because even with the losses, they're still contenders. We're not going to act like they're not. They're not. They're
Right.
not getting beat. Like I'm not taking away anything from anybody that's played San Francisco, but San Francisco's not getting beat. They're beating themselves, and it's pretty
Right.
obvious.
Thank you for that. Yes. They're absolutely being themselves. And so I didn't mean to interrupt your train of thought, but that was a very good
No,
point you
you're
made.
good. You're
Yeah.
good. I mean that'll segue us into the next part. So speaking of people that are Chicago and natives and Chicago transplants, we have the Chicago Bears, and I liked what I saw this week from the Chicago Bears. They switched up the play calling a little bit. I think that the offensive line switched to blocking schemes a little bit, so they gave Caleb Williams a little bit more time to throw the football. I think that I still think he needs to get rid of the football earlier, and I think he needs to stop tearing down receivers. Um,
Right.
but he did that a lot less this game. He moved around with his legs a little bit more. He threw the ball away when he was supposed to throw the ball away. The guys were
Hmm.
catching it. Aside from DJ Moore making like I want to say one or two mistakes, which he also redeemed himself. But aside from one or two mistakes, it was a pretty flawless game. Now you are playing the Carolina Panthers with Andy Dalton, who is 75 in quarterback years, and you know, in quarterback years, he might as well be Troy Aikman,
Right.
but which no shade against Andy Dalton. It's just that hey, we've seen this before where a
You're
quarter
coming.
a
He's
vet
up there. Hey, he's up there, bro. He's up there.
yeah,
100%. Yeah.
veteran quarterback comes in, hasn't played full time for years, comes in and wins a few games, has a career night. Joe Montana did it against the 49ers, if you guys don't want to forget about that. Joe Montana went and had a career night against the 49ers and never played that good ever again.
100%.
You know
100%.
that Joe Montana rivalry game they had was great, but he never played that good again. That was
No,
never
100%.
again. You know,
100%. No, and I totally, and I think this game was good for two reasons. Bro, one, it gives the Bears some confidence with their young rookie quarterback, and the head coach, obviously a very young team overall. And two, obviously, I mean, it kind of, sets them up because they're in a very competitive division. They're actually in the toughest division in the NFC right now with the Lions and the Minnesota Vikings, who actually
yeah,
play next week.
I
So,
think the only division that might be tougher is like the AFC East, or they consider the South. They consider the South, right?
yeah, the South is pretty good. Yeah, those are the only two I can think of. And maybe the West, AFC West.
AFC West is difficult too. There's some really tough divisions where everybody is like right around contending level for that division title. And so
Exactly.
this is what I wanted to make my disclaimer at. I need you guys to understand that when I talk about football, I'm talking about football from a divisional standpoint before I'm talking about a Super Bowl. And that just comes from one, being a coach, and two, being realistic. We're at the beginning of the season still. We're only about 5 games in for most teams. Not even most teams. Only one team is 5 games. Or two teams are 5 games in now. No, no, everybody's 5 games in. What am I talking about? It's 5 games in. It's week 5. There's still 12 weeks left of this season. 18, no, no, 13 weeks of the season because there's 18 games. They keep adding games, guys. When I started watching football, I think there's only like 15 games. So you need to understand that the beginning of the season is going to set the groundwork for what happens in the middle of the season. Now, the middle of the season are the dog days because nobody's adjusted to the cold yet. The climate's changing in a lot of areas and a lot of places, and you're going to have teams that are going to start to get good, and there's teams that are going to start to get real bad that you thought were good. There are a few fool's gold teams that I think that are lurking around. And I'm not going to call them out right now because we've done it in the previous show, but I want you guys to start watching for certain teams to make surges and certain teams to start to fall off a little bit and start to. You remember last year when the Eagles started like 7-1, I believe, and then they like proceed to lose like 5 straight games. Like it's just not one of those things that you want to attach yourself to. Like, oh, everybody's like, oh, they're still 7-5, they're still 7-6. Now they got to win some more. Yeah, well, yeah, they definitely got to win some more. They can't lose anymore at all. That's why they weren't in the Super Bowl. They weren't the team that everybody thought they were. Now we're gonna talk back about present day with the Chicago Bears. I don't think that they could do anything better against the Panthers that they did. They played within their limits. They played very smart football on both sides of the ball. There was a ton of takeaways. I think that some of some of the backs are starting to get used to the game again on the Bears. I think Swift's starting to finally find where he fits in on the team. I seen Keenan Allen, and I was very impressed with Caleb Williams spreading the football around. And that's not something that a young guy usually does, but I was very impressed with that. Overall, it was. I was going to be honest. It was a garbage game. It was a garbage game because the Panthers are not really a threat to anyone except themselves, maybe. And that's not me talking crap. That's just being honest. The Panthers are not good. Just like Indianapolis is not good. Yet
100%.
the Bears
Yeah,
lost
go
to
ahead.
Indianapolis. There's not a good football team. Jacksonville Jaguars. They're not a good football team, guys. They're not.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
Like
absolutely. And kind of, yeah, sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry. If you want to keep going.
for example, someone tried to compare them to the Cincinnati Bengals. And I said the Cincinnati Bengals are playing good teams. And if you look at Joe Burrow's numbers, he's kind of having an MVP caliber year. His team just can't win.
It's so funny you mentioned that because my younger brother, I was talking to him about this morning. When we look at the Niners being 2-3, and you look at the Bengals being 1-4, and basically, I mean, you look at the quarterbacks; those are two elite quarterbacks who I believe are top 10 in passing yards right now.
I mean, Joe
And
Burrow threw for 5 touchdowns. Normally, if a quarterback throws for 5 touchdowns, you win the game.
absolutely, and so that points to a bigger issue with the team. And same thing with the 49ers. I'm not putting any of that loss on Brock. I mean, Brock has been playing lights out. And I think just in the red zone, the offense completely collapses. But really, it's not on Brock because Brock has been making magic happen with his legs and his arm,
I
scrambling.
mean, Brock ate it. He's eating his spinach because the kid's bulking up.
Oh my gosh, he's scrambling. He's just making plays. I mean, like,
He's getting strong.
yeah. Remember
I,
what you said? Yeah, good.
he was. People have to remember he was drafted as Mr. Relevant and started playing his first season. He didn't sit under anybody for that long.
And I have to say, I really enjoyed Tom Brady's commentary of the Niners coverage game yesterday because what he was talking about was that when the Bucks played, the Niners back in 2022, which ended up being Brady's last season in the league. Tom Brady said, like, how is Mr. Irrelevant carving us up? He told his teammates, he asked his teammates that question, right? Like, how is this kid carving us up? And then he realized, you know what? No, it's not the scheme. It's really Brock. His talent has really
Yeah,
proven.
he's a good player, and I think that this year you're starting to see that okay, the team is not performing, but he still is.
And you know what? You mentioned this the other episode. You're saying that Brock scrambled 140 yards to get like 6 yards. Like I think on one play, Brock. I think they actually had like a pro football kind of a pro football focus PFF stat. Brock scrambled, I want to say 70 yards to pick up like 11 yards. Um,
Yep.
that to me points to receivers not getting open. I think receivers, they haven't been able to separate. So really, I mean, that's really on
Well, I
them
mean, they're
because
triple teaming Ayuk now. I mean, he had a 100-yard first half, and that's never happened before in his career. I'm
yeah,
sorry, but you don't
140.
get that just by being a good receiver. You have to have a good quarterback to get you 100 yards in the first half.
100%, 147 yards in the first half. I mean, it was a career game for Ayuk, and BA basically balled out. Kittle had a touchdown, but second half, I don't know what happened, but maybe it's just adjustments, and maybe it falls back on coaching because that's kind of big knock
It
on
falls
Shannon.
back on coaching. I mean, so from my perspective of this, and this is both from a coaching perspective and a player's perspective, and this
Mm-hmm.
also goes back to what I said about Mike Tomlin being incredibly intelligent when it comes to football.
Right,
You have to remember that if I don't want you on the field, the best way to make sure you're not on the field is for me to be on it.
correct. That's how it is.
And Shanahan and his coaching staff, and we may refer to everything through Shanahan. I know there are going to be some purists that are going to be like, "Well, he's not calling this play and that play. He's the head coach, guys. Everything's going to fall on his head first." And so I
Thank
got to
you.
say, Shanahan is allowing calls to be made that just don't make sense with the flow of football. And what happens when you make plays or you make calls on plays that aren't with the flow of football? You end up like Pete Carroll in the Super Bowl when you have Marshawn Lynch at running back. You kind of start to make mistakes in that area, and they don't usually go well for teams, and that's at every level.
That's at every level. No, you actually nailed the head. You nailed the head. You hammered the nail on the head. I mean, that's literally. There's no arguing that fact. So, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are listening to this, I mean, again, like the host just said, I mean, all responsibility for a team that's faltering falls on the head coach's shoulders. Whether or not Kyle
Yeah,
Shanahan's a great offensive genius, whether or not, the Niners are, run one of the best run organizations in the NFL, whether or not, they have a quote unquote winning culture, many of the losses, not just this season, but in the previous past seasons, on the postseason and everywhere, NFC Championship, Super Bowls, right? You've seen a pattern and you've seen a trend, and I'm not a Shanahan hater. I'm a Shanahan lover. I keep it fair. I love that Shanahan has been able to bring the team back, from the ashes to back in contention. I also don't love the fact that he basically kind of has blunders in the fourth quarter. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday was the first time a Kyle Shanahan team, has entered the fourth quarter with a 10 plus point lead and ended up losing that game out of 38. There he was 38-0 heading into the fourth quarter with a 10 plus point lead up until yesterday. So something's not working. I mean, something isn't working, whether it's the
well,
adjustment. Yeah, go ahead.
it's the so there's this term that we use in sports, and you've heard this a lot of times: sense of urgency.
Yep. You heard me say it. Right,
When
right
you
when we
don't
started, when I said sense of urgency. Sense of urgency. Sorry, go ahead.
exactly, when you do
Yep.
not have a sense of urgency, it shows in the way that you move on the field.
100%.
It, I've seen so many games lost in the NFL this year just
Mm-hmm.
by the coaching staff And this is not on the players, guys. I really wish people would understand that. This is not on the players. Your coaching staff has to prepare you for these moments, and they have to prepare you. They have to know what they're going to do. They can't be arguing with each other. They can't be fighting with players. They can't be doing any of this. And if you don't have that sense of urgency, like, hey, we have to win, the other team is going to see that, sense it, and it's blood in the water, especially to hungry defenses.
Right.
A
Exactly.
team like
That's kind of the
Arizona, I'm going to be honest here. San Francisco could afford to lose to Arizona. Arizona cannot afford to keep losing games. People are going to lose their jobs.
right. Well, let me push back on that just on this point because I don't like. So you're right. You're historically speaking, you're absolutely correct. And that's kind of a lot of Niner fans, diehard Kyle fans are basically pulling this reference, this stat out. The Niners last couple of years, outside of last year where they started 5-0, 2021 they started, if I'm not mistaken, 2-4. 2022 they started 3-4. Actually, yeah, and basically, I think 2021 they started 1-3 or something like that. So basically, 2-4 and basically 3-4, and I believe at one point they were 4-6 in 2022. But no, they're 3-4. Then they end up winning. They end up winning a bunch of more games. They end up finishing 3-4, 13-4. The difference between this year and those previous years is that yeah, the Niners historically speaking have started slow and they've been able to recuperate those losses. However, this year is their toughest strength of schedule in terms of playing division winners. The Bills,
Yep.
the Packers,
Yep.
the Lions. Sorry, not the Packers, the Lions, the Chiefs in next like literally in 10 days from Thursday. Like if they don't get this win against Seattle and they're sitting at 2-4 and Kansas City comes to town, the San Francisco 49ers aren't a team that can basically. Kyle has shown that he can win when he has leads. He hasn't shown, like, I believe up until last year, up until Brock kind of emerged, Kyle, historically speaking, was one. He was 0-36 when heading into the fourth quarter, heading into the fourth quarter down by 7 or more. And that was showed in Super Bowl 54 against Patrick Mahomes. That just showed on so many different instances. And he's shown he can build up leads, but he can't show to make the adjustments and come back from those deficits up until Brock Purdy came and won 2 games for him, actually down double digits in both the playoffs as well as the regular season. Actually, no, both playoff games. I think it was against the Packers and Lions. They were down 7. I was at both games last year. So, but this team is not that team. That's what we're seeing. I mean, this team
I
may or
mean,
may
you went
not
to
make.
almost the entire playoffs.
Not almost. I did go the entire playoffs. I went to the
Yeah.
divisional. I went to the conference championship, and I went to the Super Bowl. I mean,
Yeah.
thank you
And
all
you
for
went to
tuning
the
in.
Super Bowl. You went to all of
Yeah,
them. Yeah.
I went to all of them. So I mean, I saw how good this kid Brock Purdy is, and he is phenomenal. I mean, so at some point it's going to come down to okay, is Kyle the guy or is Brock the guy? And really, a lot of the Irish faithful they're saying, oh yeah, Brock is kind of showing lives and flashes, but he's not. I mean, like if you want to get paid $60 million a year, you have to do more. You have to win these games. Well, I challenge that because you don't want to counter your head coach. You always go with your head coach. Tom Brady did it. Peyton Manning did it. Tony
Well,
Dungy,
look at
Bill
2 weeks
Belichick.
ago. Or was it 3 weeks ago now? 3 weeks ago now. Look at 3 weeks
Mm-hmm.
ago and the problem that we had with the play calling. You're already in field goal range. What were you doing? You were in
Right.
field goal range and you had the clock on your side. You have running backs. You're in field goal range. The clock is on your side. I'll repeat this one more time for those people who are hard of hearing. You're in field goal range. You have running backs, and the clock is on your side. Why do you find it necessary as a head coach to allow an offensive coordinator, whoever is calling the plays, to call ridiculous passing plays with 2 minutes or less on the clock? That's number one. Number two, since when do we not run the clock down and kick a field goal? Kicking a field goal right there would have made it impossible for them to come back and beat you. But turning the football over in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And like we said before, I do believe that that there should be the defense should get points, not necessarily on the scoreboard, but the defense should get points for a stop. That should be considered a takeaway, not just a turnover on downs. In my opinion, I believe that the turnover on downs should be considered a takeaway for the defense. You know, I do not understand why, knowing that you have downs, that you have time, that you have timeouts, that you have a great kicker, you have excellent running back core. Why you thought that throwing the football with 2 minutes left in the game, we are already in field goal range, was a good idea. I just don't. I will never understand that. I just I would never understand it. And I think that they have a disconnect on people who are calling plays and clock management. And like, if you're gonna be honest and you say, look at this San Francisco football team, they are a great team of guys and much talented players that are on that field, but there's something going on in the room that does not allow them to have the same type of success they deserve to have because somebody's calling the wrong plays. So we got Ali back, and I think it is the perfect time for us to transition over to what happened at Bad Blood.
Finally, The Rock has come back to Bad Blood.
So, guys, if you guys missed it, Atlanta was a show,
Oh,
and I'm gonna, there's been a lot of wrestle critics that have given the show a 3 out of 5 rating. I'm gonna take it and say they had a 5 out of 5 show. And for people that want to challenge me on this, name a show that another company has done that has been better than Bad Blood this year. And I can't. We're talking about a culmination of years long storylines. We're talking about the return of the real Hell in a Cell. We have characters coming back and entering feuds. There was a spot in the Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley match that wasn't supposed to be a DQ spot, but it worked out either way. And I think that all of the talent that was involved understood that the referee botched the return of Raquel. Are they calling her Gonzalez now?
I don't fucking know, and I don't care. Let's get into it, and let's talk about the main event. Let's not talk
Yeah,
about anything else. We will
we'll
get
talk
to all
about
the
the main
other.
event.
Let's
We'll talk
start from
about
the
the
back
main
up.
event.
Let's talk about the show stealer. Let's talk about
So as you
most.
guys,
I was gonna do it, but go
oh
ahead.
you can still do it.
Okay, let's talk about the most electrifying man in all of entertainment. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, the People's Champ. Now,
The final boss.
the final boss.
So
Okay.
so guys, let's walk you through the beginning of this. Okay, so you have two jobbers come out. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I am kidding.
You
Those
lost me
guys
there
are
for a second.
those guys are excellent athletes. Okay, so you have the new blood. The God, the Gorillas of Destiny that come
Mm-hmm.
out, and that
Yep.
is Solo Sokoa and Jacob Fatu.
That's how you know he's joking. Jacob Fatu is anywhere, nothing near, I apologize,
Yep.
nothing near anywhere of a jobber. Please, put some
Jacob,
respect on that man's
if you
name.
guys don't understand, Jacob Fatu is a legitimate main event superstar, and
Then you're not watching the same podcast as me. And I've been
they
watching for
need to
30
go do
years.
some research. First of all,
100%.
this version of Jacob Fatu is the best version of Jacob Fatu. And I know
Mm-hmm.
that you guys might have seen him in MLW and a couple other places, but let me tell you, this slim down, working out, healthy Jacob Fatu is the Jacob Fatu they need for this show.
Yes,
And
sir.
and so let's walk him through the match so we don't spoil ourselves on this. Okay, we're gonna start out with they come out, they do their bloodline spot like the bloodline has been doing for the last 4+ years now. They go do their bloodline spot, and then Cody's music hits. But Cody's music doesn't just hit. A marching band marches out. Now, mind you, they're in Atlanta, hot Atlanta. They're down there at the home of the HBCU and where the bands are the biggest thing out there. The bands take the spotlight away from the teams that were at the colleges that they play at. So let me tell you, this band comes out and it's playing Cody Rhodes' theme song, and then Cody Rhodes' theme song starts playing, and then the band starts playing. Great, Kevin Owens. That was. We'll get to there. We'll get to there. Okay, so that was great, and then Roman comes out and does the Roman. It's just Roman's got an orchestra doing his, and he does his tribal chief spots. He doesn't switch
Yep.
anything up.
Nope.
He didn't switch up nothing. Nothing. So the match gets going, normal hijinks. And I'm going to take a second here and pivot to where somebody did think that I was going. Atlanta crowd, you guys were great for most of the night. Do not ruin this story. Do not ruin this feud, and do not pretend that neither Jacob nor Solo can wrestle. Those guys can wrestle, and they were great. Solo played his role perfectly. You got him and Jacob doing tandem dives off the ropes. They're being as heelish as possible. And Roman and Cody were trying to give it back to him and hitting their spots. And next thing you know, Cody's diving off the top rope onto the announcer's table, killing Jacob Fatu. And that was a shout out to the spot where Jacob, you brutalized Cody a few months ago. It was a shout out. Cody salutes Roman, and that's when the rest of the new blood, the Tongans, Tama Tonga and Tangaloa, Tangaloa now. So that's when they came and decided they were gonna try to whoop on our guys, the two top guys. They're gonna whoop on them a
Yes,
little
sir.
bit because they're down, and then the crowd starts yelling because everyone thinks that it's Hikuleo.
Right.
But then you realize that like the third guy is not attacking Roman or Cody, and he takes his hoodie off, and you realize that it's Jimmy Uso. Jimmy
No
Uso's
yeet, but
making his
yeet.
triumphant return
And
in a
just like
new
this.
shirt.
Yes, sir.
They
Tongue
not
out.
the ones in a new shirt that I need to get. They not the ones.
That's crazy, bro. I mean, you know what? And I don't mean to stop you right there, but I have to stop you just for this brief minute. When Jimmy came out, and you saw the pop when he takes off the hoodie. I mean, oh my God. You want to talk about a reaction. Atlanta crowd, that pop, and we're gonna get to the biggest pop tonight because my host right here is gonna get into that right now after this. But I mean, golly, Jimmy Uso's return, so unexpected. I personally thought they were gonna reserve that for Survivor Series, but looks like that this was an event worthy of that. And so yeah. Anyways, please keep going, host number 24.
Well, yes. 1 second.
Unless you want me to kind of wrap it up. It's up to
No,
you.
we're good. No, we're good. So
Okay.
So then, Jimmy does his hero thing, and Roman's
Yep.
looking at him like Roman's trying to decide. And it's great storytelling because Roman's trying to decide, is he here to take out just them, or is he gonna take me out too?
Right.
Cody's looking because Cody's like, last time I checked, he was kicking my face off. So, because Jimmy didn't make a pact with Cody.
Right.
Roman made a pact with Cody. And so this is underlying to where we're going with this. Jimmy sees Roman, lets Roman know you're still my tribal chief, and you're my cousin. I'm with you in this. We're blood. They're not us, and they wreck those guys and get them out the ring. Let's just fast forward to Solo comes in. Solo tries to hit the big move on Roman. Roman Roman ducks it and spears him, and ends the match. And this is when things start to get a little bit out of hand. So Roman and Jimmy leave the ring, and the new blood starts beating the crap out of Cody. And Jimmy says to Roman, "Hey man, you made a deal. We can't we can't just leave him. Roman's like, I don't know why not. That was the deal. I fulfilled my end of the promise. Like,
Yeah.
that's his problem. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
because as you can see, Roman hasn't changed, and that's very important for the story.
Right.
You know, Roman has not changed, and so from there they go back and they make the save. Now, to the casual fans, they would say that was a face turn,
Right.
but had it been anyone else attacking Cody, I do not think that Jimmy and Roman would have done anything about it.
100%. Now, but let me see kind of where let me analyze that because that was a critical moment in that match. Jimmy and Roman are exit the ring. Solo and the new bloodline are basically beating up Cody. Jimmy, like you said, says, you know, hey, we got to help him. And then Roman said, no, it's like the agreement was for one night. He's on his own now. Or he said one match, whatever it was. And then Jimmy says, he's like, man, we got to help him. And then he said, you let me know. He's like, I'm with you. I'm with you. You know, he's acknowledging him. And basically then at that point, Roman then says, all right, let's get in there. And they basically got in there. They start whooping their ass. And then you can kind of carry us away with the main event of this night, please. What happens next?
So as they're walking out, or not even walking out yet, they're standing there, and Cody's
Yep.
doing the babyface thing where he's posing with them, and they're looking at him because they're not really going to pose with Cody, but they're like, and right when you think they're gonna go to like raise their hands up, some music, some very familiar music hits, and you hear, "If you smell what the Rock is cooking," and then you get the breakdown, the final boss music, the electricity, and out comes the Rock and some Basasi.
Oh,
He comes out of some Basasi and with the People's Championship, doesn't say anything, just looks, and then he looks again, and then he sees what he sees, and he raises his eyebrow, and then he points
raise
to
the.
the ring. He says,
Everyone, look
"1,
right here. Yeah, please. 1.
2, 3," and then does the motion to slice the neck, looks at him, turns around, walks out. So what people didn't hear was the fan footage of Solo talking to the. There was so much production going on in this show. This was supposed to get out. Solo's talking to the rest of the New Blood, and he says, "This is all part of the plan," pointing at the Rock. I have a I have a bet here that I'm going to say. I think that the Rock is going to come out the next time he gets a chance to. And to be honest, there's a possibility that he comes out on Monday Night Raw. Like, I'm just because The Rock does whatever he wants. He's already said that. Triple H made it very clear that The Rock has free reign to do whatever The Rock wants.
What?
So The Rock, I would hazard a guess that if there's going to be a twist in this feud, at least in the early part of this feud, because I'm not going to say this is going to make it all the way to WrestleMania, but the early part of the twist in this feud is going to be The Rock's going to question why Roman would go back on his laurels, because the last thing that he needs to worry about is what the New Blood is doing to Cody. He needs to be more worried about what he's doing to Cody. And how are you going to do anything to Cody if you're teaming up with him?
Yes. Now, wow, that's a lot you unpacked. So let kind of, I want to roll back to kind of, you know, what we just talked about, the immediate entrance of the most electrifying man in all of entertainment. Obviously, The Rock comes back. You know, the electricity was just through the roof. The crowd reaction was through the roof. Like you know, like our very very impeccable host described. The one, it was one was a it was a one, and then two, and then I believe three. He went like that, three, and then basically then you know that one music and what
Now
I
that could mean anything.
right, and so that's what I want to talk about because what did it mean? You know, and you kind of gave us a prelude of what it meant and what you foresee as like the fallout of this, you know, this monster kind of I guess like basically lightning shock, in WWE and in the world of wrestling. Like, but I just want to say one thing: that crowd reaction tells you everything. The Rock, and I was talking to my younger brother about this because obviously we're both wrestling aficionados, like me and my co-host, like many of you watching. What this proved, The Rock is literally the biggest megastar in the history of sports entertainment.
There's no one bigger.
There is absolutely no one bigger. And I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it, y'all. I know this is, I know this man held his belt first, and we praised him last time many times this podcast. I'm gonna say it. The Rock at this point is now more important and bigger than Stone Cold Steve Austin.
What? So this is the point that I've tried to make for many years, right?
Mm-hmm.
There comes a point in an athlete's life where people are going to look and say, these people were great. All of these people were great. But here's the one thing about The Rock. He still is. And I think he might be, he's not the last Attitude Era guy that can still go, but he is the biggest one out of the Attitude Era that can still go. And I'm not saying Stone Cold can't wrestle, because he can get in there and have a match. He's done it before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the caliber of match that The Rock is going to have is going to be a lot higher paced than the caliber of match that Stone Cold's going to have today.
And a lot of that's due to age difference.
That's all it is. That's
The Rock.
Taker can't do what Taker used to do.
Exactly, because The Rock was the youngest of all the stars of the Attitude Era, from Triple H, from Stone Cold Steve Austin, from Undertaker. Even from the guys who came like kind of later in the era, like Jericho, like Angle. Rock's younger than all of them. I mean, it's crazy to think about. And kind of to that point, I mean, yeah, Rock can still go. Obviously when he has match with Cena carried him for the most of the match. Rock was great in WrestleMania when he came back. This past year, WrestleMania 40.
I think that first Cena match shouldn't have happened.
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously, but I mean, people are gonna say, "Oh, money," and yeah, I guess the numbers speak for itself. Most pay-per-view buy rates of any WrestleMania in history.
Yeah, like I understand.
I get it. I get it.
It was Vince's booking that did it.
It makes sense. Make cash out. The Rock's back.
The CM Punk angle probably should have been explored on that one. But here's what you guys got to understand. A lot of people are going to get upset about this because they want what they want. But you don't understand. There are so many more of us that want The Rock to be The Rock.
Right.
If we get a chance at The Rock being The Rock, not much else actually matters.
Let me ask you this, because that's actually a very good point. My brother and I were talking about this today. Let me ask you this. And this is kind of an open-ended question, because this is just literally I'm just going to throw this shit out there. We talked about Mr. McMahon at length on this podcast, our last 2 episodes. We talked about Mr. McMahon for nearly 4 hours, because that's how important Vince was to the world of wrestling. The Rock's gimmick is the final boss. You mentioned the Attitude Era. We talked about Austin. Let me just run this by you. What do you think of The Rock not only playing the final boss, but assuming an actual authority figure like a Vince McMahon in this current WWE, who holds down Cody Rhodes and maybe by extension Roman?
You have to have someone like The Rock do it, because you can't have Triple H do that right now.
It's not going to work, because Triple H is not, because Triple H can't compete. That's not our issue, because Triple H is, and everyone knows Triple H is obviously the content officer, but it's not the same kind of authority and weight that Vince has. And Triple H kind of in his 50s isn't like Vince in his 50s. And the reason what I mean by that is Triple H is the same age as Vince was, at the peak of the Attitude Era. Vince was like 54 in 1999. Triple H is like 55 right now. The Rock is actually younger than the Vince. Rock is only 52, but Rock, exactly. And Rock, here's another thing. Triple H is kind of really nice and like friendly and like, very, very good in press conferences. And he just stands there. Like you saw that little segment. We'll talk about the full event, but you saw that little segment with Gunther and CM Punk with Goldberg, right? And Triple H just stood there with his hands crossed.
He's fully embraced his executive role.
He's like truly an executive who doesn't have any type of animosity or any type of, and obviously like he's like, he has a heart problem, so he can't step into the ring if needed to. The Rock, like what you just said, which is so massive, out of all the Attitude Era figures, The Rock is the one who can still go.
Yeah,
And he
because
can go.
you're not
Go
gonna
ahead.
get a damn near 60-year-old Michaels going.
No, not gonna get 60 year
You
old
didn't want
Michael.
Michaels didn't want to come back for the Crown Jewel event.
Yeah, I mean, Michael and Triple H are very content in backstage roles, making a lot of money, making a
Yeah,
lot of
and
money just training.
they know they're not who they used to be, and they're cool with that. The
Yeah,
Rock is
doing
The
Triple
Rock.
H. The
The Rock's
Rock is
still
The
The Rock.
Rock. And The Rock as like a Vince figure will kind of they'll actually like an on screen like this is what I proposed to my younger brother when we are talking about it. I proposed maybe Rock as like a GM. Put Rock as a GM figure on SmackDown, and then basically kind of use that to kind of be like, okay, like maybe I think Aldis is doing a good job. Maybe you put
Well,
The Rock above Nick.
The Rock's going to be part of the board of directors because he is a part of the board of
He
directors.
is a part of the board of directors, so maybe what you do then is because TKO and Endeavor owns WWE, The Rock is one of those board members. The Rock is basically almost a billionaire, like Vince was in his peak of the Attitude Era. You put Rock, depending on Rock's schedule, because it's going to depend on how much he can commit to it while filming, right? Because he has a lot of filming commitments.
The
Rock's
Rock needs
hobby,
to be a thorn in the side of Raw and SmackDown. And the
he
reason I'm
has to
saying
be.
this is because he has unfinished business on Raw and he has unfinished business on SmackDown. And because he is the final boss, and there's an event coming up very soon that's going to pit everyone against everyone. And I'm going to tell you right now, because I know we only got a couple more minutes left, but I'm going to tell you this right now. As far as Crown Jewel goes, I'm excited to see what they put together because it's always a very highly productive show. But, but, Crown Jewel has undermined just about every storyline since Crown Jewel and any of the Saudi shows have started.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only negative that I have against that. And I don't care. And this is not an affront to anybody watching. Thank you for watching the show. Thank you for listening to us and the things we talk about. But at some point in time, you have to ask yourself, is integrating other parts of the world into what we're doing better for us or worse? And the only way that you're going to be able to answer this question without sounding like a xenophobe is yes. And it doesn't matter what you think that those people are and where they come from and what they believe. It does not matter. Wrestling is about suspending your disbelief, and
Right.
and they have some of the most passionate fans on earth. They get so happy the 2 times a year that WWE goes to put on shows there. They're getting more progressive. That doesn't mean they have to get westernized at all. They get to be their own people. That's their right. But they are learning that hey, we need to be a little bit more fun too. And it's going to make everyone more money. It's going to make the world a better place. And there's never been a time that I've ever thought that doing these things and expanding the view of what you do and allowing people who want to love what you do to love it, that's never been bad for anyone. Especially when they say, "Hey, we think those guys should get paid," and WWE doesn't want to pay them that money. You know who will though? Somebody who wants to see him. So if
Right.
someone wants to get mad that Goldberg might have a spot in Crown Jewel, I won't get mad about that. That's money. I'm not going to get mad about Gunther versus whoever is a WWE champion or whoever is the world champion by the time we get to Crown Jewel. We don't know who's going to be the champion. That's the beauty of this business right now. We don't know who's going to be the champion because everyone is on notice because no one knows what could happen because of the guys that are there. Let's face the facts here. Both Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis are loose cannons. That's been shown in the past. They're both loose cannons. The Rock is the final boss of loose cannons. I mean, if Triple H wants to be Triple H, he's a loose cannon too. On top of it, you have guys like the Gorillas of Destiny / New Blood. You have Jimmy and Roman. You have Cody just in the middle of everything, and then you have after the show, you have Kevin Owens beating the crap out of Cody Rhodes, in front of a bunch of fans, and that wasn't aired or televised or even recorded by the WWE.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I agree with everything you just said. I mean, obviously, like, yeah, I mean, The Rock aligning with Bloodline makes sense. And obviously Kevin Owens, let's talk about that. Kevin Owens attacking Cody at the fan cam. Triple H is a fucking genius, man. I mean, how do you think about scripting something?
I would like to say,
yes.
And I would like to say that Kevin Owens had to do this because you have CM Punk, who's coming off of a victory in the Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood against Drew McIntyre.
Yep.
And there aren't any other ready-made feuds other than CM Punk versus Rollins again.
And that's going to be fire. That's going to be fireworks.
Rollins just came back this past week. And I can see Rollins getting into a feud with CM Punk. And the only reason why he would get into a feud with CM Punk is to keep CM Punk outside of or keep him outside of the title scene for now.
Right.
And I'm okay with Rollins and CM Punk having a rivalry for the time being, that even if it culminates at WrestleMania, because I believe that for Punk to have a title reign, he would need to go through someone like Rollins to get there.
Right. And I mean, I think that's where, so this is where, to your point about the authority figure of Rock being on both Raw and SmackDown, that's where I think it can really mix things up. If The Rock wants to make CM Punk's life hell, if The Rock wants to make Rollins' life hell as they kind of work their way up to the championship, if The Rock wants to acknowledge Gunther, if The Rock wants to, make Cody's life hell, if The Rock wants to make Roman's life hell as he lines a new bloodline, like that's what we're missing, man. Not missing, but that's going to be an added element that's going to make it take it to another level.
And The Rock said before he left, he told Cody, "I like how that belt feels. I held all the rest of them except that one."
Right.
And I really don't understand why people don't understand that. Guys, this isn't AEW. It never was. This isn't TNA. This isn't WCW. This isn't any of those. And I'm sorry, but The Rock as champion has always meant mega millions for the WWE.
Exactly. The Rock is the biggest box office sensation in the history of professional wrestling. I don't care about Hogan. I don't care about Austin. Really, The Rock has really proven that he is the biggest box office sensation because this longevity is unprecedented.
Now, let me snap into this really quick, though.
Go ahead.
And I'm going to do it with the least amount of energy as necessary for it.
Go ahead.
So you mean to tell me that the Brahma Bull, the pie-eating, mud-hole stomping, rock bottoming, kissing every girl in the audience, man.
Yes, sir.
Comes back to the WWE and doesn't want a title shot. That guy, every time he's been in pursuit of a title, WWE has had a boom in viewership every single time. And not only will he kick your ass on Friday night, but on Saturday, he's at his movie premiere. It opens up at #1 on the box office every single time. That does wonders for the visibility of your program. That does wonders for the visibility of professional wrestling. That does wonders for the guys that he's tearing down and building up. And it puts everybody on notice. There's nothing like a full arena. There's nothing like a full arena. If you've never been in one, you need to go and you need to experience. There's nothing like it. Talk about feeling like you're at the Super Bowl every week. That's the average WWE show.
Not sure about that. As someone who's been to both, I'm not sure if it is a Super Bowl, but what it is a spectacle.
It's a spectacle. It's a spectacle. It's a grand spectacle every time.
Yes, every single time. Now, let's say you're at WrestleMania, then yes, you might have Super Bowl.
Yeah, WrestleMania
the Super, right? Exactly.
But WrestleMania is insane.
Oh my God! But I absolutely loved going to SmackDown last year. Anyone to what the host has stated, please go to a WWE show if you can. Obviously, it's more expensive than AEW. I know AEW covers more cities. No, WWE doesn't go only to major cities. AEW goes to, go ahead.
We made the statement before. You can cover as many cities as you want, but but there's a very big difference between a small 8,000 seat arena and a 35,000 seat arena. There's a
Correct.
very big difference. Now
Huge
mind
difference.
you, the average 10,000 seat arena, 12,000 seat arena that the WWE goes to is great. But let me keep it real with you. The odds of the AEW is not filling 13,000 seats every week. They're not doing it. They're barely filling four. They're just not. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, the show has got its place in wrestling, but you can't go dumping on WWE. It's the granddaddy of them all at this point, and they're doing things that other people are just dreaming about doing. And the way that I see it, this story is when Roman lost at WrestleMania, there was a sense of loss that everybody felt,
Right.
and it wasn't just that they were happy for Cody because everyone was happy for Cody, and everyone wanted Cody to lead us into the next generation. He is, but we knew that there was another element of this story because the very next night, Rock comes out to have a conversation with Cody Rhodes,
Correct.
and he was pretty kind to Cody. He wasn't super heelish, none of that. And that lets you know right then and there. Number one, the final boss character is not done. Number two, the bloodline story is not done. And then you get to see it play out for weeks and develop for weeks. And sometimes it was drawn out, but it was must see television, and it still is must see television. And I'm excited to finish football tonight. I'm excited to start Raw. I start Raw tonight, and I guarantee you I'll finish it tomorrow. But I'll start Raw, and then we'll meander onto the weekend. We'll get to probably Wednesday or Thursday talk about trash night football and what's going to happen on SmackDown, our predictions, because this is an entertainment company that runs 24/7, so some things are going to go down in the next few hours, in the next couple of days, that are going to impact what we see on SmackDown on Friday. And don't be surprised if you see The Rock there on Friday. Don't be surprised if he gives a 30-minute promo. Um, and I'm okay with that because it's must-see television.
Must see TV, baby. You got to
And
cash in. So,
I've experienced faction warfare before, and we're getting ready for Survivor Series, not just Crown Jewel. So you guys need to remember that. And I think that let's see where we all get taken on that. Let's see where
yes,
we
sir.
all get taken on that. Nah, the bloodline thing's not even close to being done. Like I said, they signed Estrada. Paul Heyman will be back. That's a given. Roman's gonna get some mic time. There probably won't be. To be honest, I don't think there's gonna be that much wrestling on SmackDown this week. I think there's gonna be maybe 3 or 4 actual matches, and then like everything else is gonna be long promos and builds up because you have to build for the 2 events now. It's 2 events that you're building for, not just Crown Jewel. And I do truly believe that if we have some patience, we're going to get an even better story than the one that we got last year.
Absolutely. The story just continues to get better and better. It's a gift that keeps on giving. But
Yeah,
anyways,
like I said,
y'all,
Hikuleo needs to come back. So is Paul Heyman, Estrada, and Zilla is very mouthy this weekend. If you noticed.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, anyways,
So
y'all, let's just recap Bad Blood with this. Just kind of, just match by match. Gunther, well, segment by match. Just Gunther, the segment with him and Goldberg, and then Sammy getting in the mix. I don't know if Sammy's going to win tonight. I hope he does. I don't think he will. I think they're going to keep reserve Gunther for that Crown Jewel
I think Sammy
champion
loses
match.
tonight.
Yeah, then he's going to get that new Crown Jewel belt, like my host mentioned. So, co-host right here, I love that. I love the idea of that. So that was good. Secondly,
Although,
CM Punk. Yes, please.
although it would be very fitting with Sami Zayn winning the Crown Jewel belt in Saudi Arabia. That would be great for him.
Yeah, well, yeah, it would be nice if he could win tonight. That'd be phenomenal. I really hope so. Because I really want some shock and awe. We'll see. So hopefully Sammy can win, and I really
If
like
Sammy
the.
wins, Sammy could get his because I don't know if Gunther can even get into Saudi Arabia because I don't remember him being there last year.
He got in
He
this
got
year.
in? Okay, so he's
Yeah,
fine then. So
yeah,
I would much rather see Sammy give Cody Rhodes his first loss as champion while he is champion. And I think that would be a very fair and give the crowd a good go home moment because I
Yeah.
don't think that Cody loses any momentum by losing to Sammy, even if Sammy turns heel to beat Cody. Or
Right.
Sammy Sammy beating Cody with the help of KO would just complicate the storyline the way that it should. And
Mm-hmm.
seeing as how KO is not on Raw, Sammy wouldn't get a whole lot of heat for KO cheating for Sammy to win the match. But at the same time, that would start the program and take Cody away from the bloodline for a little bit so the bloodline can deal with itself.
100%. 100%. No, I totally agree with that. And yeah, it'll be huge if Sammy can win tonight. It'd be huge if Sammy can win in Crown Jewel. And then if Cody could focus on the bloodline. But moving forward, right? I think yeah, so that was great. I love the segment. You know, the whole Goldberg kind of did good stuff for the crowd. Now let's talk about CM Punk, Drew McIntyre. CM Punk winning over Drew McIntyre. I think that ends the feud. Unless Drew has something
Yep.
more to say tonight. I don't think there is going to be any more with that. It's going to, like you said, I think it's going to pivot to Seth versus CM Punk. How that materializes, I'm not sure, but Seth might also have a little program with Bronson Reed to kind of get back at him. To help Bronson Reed get some push and some momentum before he's re-injected back into the CM Punk line. That's going to basically carry. It's going to feed families. That feud will feed families. That'll be great. And looking forward to that. And CM Punk can get back in the World Heavyweight title picture. Then obviously we talk about, you mentioned Raquel Rodriguez coming back to interfere with the Rhea Ripley Liv Morgan match. Raquel basically turning heel, helping out Liv to get over on Rhea Ripley. Obviously, Don was suspended from that cage, and he ended up doing a spot where he was basically dangling from his shoelace from the cage, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
The Shark Tank. So yeah, then Rhea basically beat him up like a pinata with a kendo stick. So that was pretty fun to watch too. So yeah, looking forward to that. Obviously, staying on top of Judgment Day, Damian Priest beat Finn Balor. Finn Balor basically, gets the L. Damian Priest is like made the Judgment Day look like a bunch of fried chicken, for lack of a better term. I mean, just beating up on JD, on Carlito, and on Finn really helps strengthen his character. Really kind of decimates Judgment Day's credibility. But we'll see what happens because I think at some point they're gonna have to dissolve the whole thing because even though Raquel came back to help Rhea win, I think they're maybe reserving Rhea's title win for Survivor Series, and or maybe it's going to be Judgment Day dissolved and it's just Rhea versus Liv, and Raquel kind of in the corner to help her with the Dom backing up. And then obviously the women's tag match, pretty good match, not much to say there. And then obviously that was obviously we talked about the main event tag match too. So and those are the main matches. Obviously LA Knight, he was great. He had a few segments here and there, and Sammy obviously coming out, to attack Gunther. So yeah, let's see what happens tonight. Obviously, the Chiefs are playing right now against the Saints. So we'll see what happens there. But before we go, anything
You know
else
what's gonna
before we
happen
come?
there?
Oh man, yeah, Chiefs gonna
The
win.
12th man.
Yeah, Chiefs gonna win that game. Anyways, or the refs, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, put that finger up. Here we go. Here we go, baby. We the ones. Yes, sir. Anyways, partner, anything else before? Thank you so much for hosting this episode, but anything else before we end out today?
You guys stay safe. I want to say thank you to all the people that have been tuning in lately, and we've taken notice. We never asked for interaction, but if you guys want us to talk about certain things, or you guys want us to mention them or stay a little bit longer on them, the best way to do that is in that comment section, and that's how we can interact with you a whole lot better because we enjoy talking to each other. We'll talk to each other all day long if given the opportunity. But we want to know that you guys are also digging what we're doing, and we want you guys to feel like you're a part of the show too, even if we're not going to bring you on camera.
I do want to say though, we did get comments when we first picked this back up after week one, and we did get comments when the Niners collapsed because a lot of angry Niner fans, who I appreciate, came on and agreed with a lot of our takes. And I do think this episode might get some comments even without your request because of the fact that it's going to be Niner criticism because we are a rambunctious group and we do not tolerate anything less than excellence. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you all for tuning in.
Been ripping
Yes.
Caleb a new one.
Oh man, yeah. Well, Caleb and the Bears at least have a win to kind of rest their laurels on. But let's talk. Niners have no excuses for blowing two fourth quarter leads and just two absolutely winnable games against bottom of the barrel teams. Complete garbage, complete fuckery, complete lack of coaching. So, anyways, y'all, Once again, I want to also give a shout out. Thank you. We have now 15 new subscribers. Thank you all for subscribing. For all the shorts I uploaded over the last couple days, thank you all for viewing those shorts. There was a 40% click through for 60% swipe away. So don't think that those of you who clicked and did and subscribed, you're going to notice. I appreciate all of you. Thank you all for sharing. Obviously, there's 96% new listeners, and please continue spreading the word. YouTube, keep doing that thing, promoting us without me paying a single dollar. And last but not least, obviously, thank you all for the total amount of views. We've now accumulated over 45,000 views. We're on the channel. You guys can see on the channel page. We're getting near that 50K mark. Looking forward to that as well. And yeah, the impression rate has also gone over 20,000 impressions. So, man, I love being here, love being on this platform. I don't care where it goes. I'm just going to continue making content with my boy right here. So with that said, thank you all. Yes, sir. Let's close it out.
Yes, sir.
All right. Yes, sir. Any final thoughts before we close out, my brother? Or are we going to close out?
We the ones.
We the ones. Let's go, y'all. Tune in tonight. We will be back later this week to recap Raw, recap SmackDown. My boy right there flexing his title, flexing mine as well. The Rock's rocking Muhammad Ali's wife's belt. So we're going to see that hopefully tonight. Thank you all for tuning in. God bless.